Hey folks, Matthew Weiss here, WeissAdvice.com and WeissAdvice here on YouTube. Normally when I start out my week, I do a retrospective. I look at a record that I mixed maybe a few years back or something like that, and I'll do a mix walkthrough. Just kind of go over the general ideas, and then as the week progresses, I will get into more specific details about individual aspects of the mix that I think are particularly interesting and informative. However, this week I kind of want to do something a little different. I'm working on a record right now. I have not actually even begun to do anything with this vocal. I'm going to start from the vocal, and I'm going to do it in real time. So this is going to be a very current example of my process. I don't know how it's going to go, so if I get a little mumbly-jumbly, I apologize. But I'm basically going to start discovering how to treat this vocal as I'm doing it. And I think that that's going to show some interesting stuff. So, okay, enough yammering. Let me play a little bit of this vocal and then give the explanations. Here we go.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck alone and catch up with your boy. My name is Jones.
Cool, so this is a rapper named Sir Jones. I've been working with him for years. I love Jones. He's an awesome dude. I have this record that I'm working on. I'm turning in the mix probably later today. I need to work on this vocal. So what's my process like? Well, the first thing I need to do is I need to assess what the vocal feels like, just in general. You know, is it a really big full vocal? Is it a bass heavy vocal? Is it a bright vocal? You know, what does it sound like? And then also figure out what we're trying to get it to. So when I listen to this vocal,
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but
I feel like I'm hearing a good vocal overall. I think that's a pretty clean capture. It's got, you know, good transient response. I can really hear all of the words very clearly, everything like that. But I do think that the vocal could be bigger in the sense of where the energy is living. And when I'm talking about energy, I'm talking about the frequency distribution. So this is where EQ is going to come into play, but I like to think about it as energy, because if you have energy bulked up in certain places, the vocal will tend to sit in the speaker in a certain way. So in this vocal, I'm hearing two big clumps of energy. I'm hearing something in the like mid-range that's a little bit weirdly mid-forward, and then I'm also hearing a little bit in the bass range that I actually like. There's a lot of energy in the lower part of his voice, and I think I want to preserve that. I'm not so sure about how I feel about that mid-range. On the one hand, it's pulling the vocal very far forward, which for rap vocals I tend to like, but on the other hand, it kind of makes it sound like he has a bit of a cold. And also, when I heard it with the beat for a split second,
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone.
I'm hearing this on his voice. I'm hearing like from the top of his mouth to like the bridge of his nose more than anything else. And then like this like kind of deeper tone underneath it. But I feel like I've got some of this, I've got a lot of this, but I don't have the rest filled in. So like the low mids feel like they need a little more, and then the top end needs more too. It feels kind of rolled off. So I think that this is actually a pretty good vocal. I think it's going to be pretty easy to get what we need. It's just going to take, you know, some thoughtful moves. So normally my go-to vocal channel strip is usually the Plugin Alliance AMIC, but I think I want to switch it up for this one. I'm going to do the SSL-J. And the reason I'm doing that is because sometimes I find just switching things up keeps my perspective fresh. Sometimes I just do it for the fun of it. You know, I mix a lot of records, and so switching my perspective and keeping things a little fresh is kind of an important part of my process. Otherwise, I get too much into my comfort zone of doing the same thing, and every vocal and every record is different, so you don't necessarily want to be doing exactly the same thing. That's probably not a good sign. Okay, let's figure out that mid-range tone. Let's start with that.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
Do you hear how it kind of sounds a little bit like he's got a cold? Like there's a little bit too much of this like kind of sound. Experience dictates that tone shows up somewhere between about 1.5K and 3K. But if you don't know that, you can just kind of think like, okay, it's a nose bridge sound, so at the very least it's going to be somewhere in the mids. It's not going to be in the bass. It's not going to be in the high treble. So where are my mids? Maybe like 700, start there, see where it goes. And we're listening very specifically for the brassy tone. So we might run into a bunch of tones that we don't like on the way up the frequency scale, but we really want to be very specific about what we're hearing first so that we don't start over EQing. I find one of the biggest mistakes that people make is every time they hear a tone they don't like, they EQ it out. And a lot of the times that can lead to a very thin, stale sounding vocal. All right. I'm going to turn this to a pretty narrow Q. I'm going to set this to like 1K. We'll start there. And then we're going to do like a 6 dB boost. So let's see how that sounds. And then I'm going to start turning up the frequency, corner frequency control here as we go through this.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
So that to me has like a very husky sound to it, like a boxy sound to it. That's not the tone I'm looking for. Let's go up to like 1.5.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own.
So that's a congested tone, and I don't like that. That's pretty close to what I'm thinking is off, but it doesn't have the brassiness that I was hearing. I was hearing something that very specifically had like a kind of tone to it. Let's go up to 2K.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but
that to me is a lot closer. It's got this kind of like to it. It's got this sort of like this pinched quality to it. So I think we're in the right range. I'm going to go a little higher just to see what happens, see what 2.5 reveals.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but
I'm starting to hear some like higher upper mid resonances show up, like stuff that's maybe around 3.5K to 4K, which I don't love, but it's not what I was targeting. So I've gone too high. So I would say that we got to be somewhere between about 1.5 and 2K. That's going to be where our sweet spot is. So now we can narrow it down. I'm going to try 1.8.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck.
I would say like 1.9 or even 2K is probably the most annoying sounding to me. However, it should be pointed out that this is actually not just one single tone. I'm trying to find the center of what's actually a broad tonality. It's a tone characteristic. So a narrow Q would be if I was trying to get rid of some resonances, like a very specific sinusoidal kind of tone that was just sounding really harsh. I would use a narrow Q to get rid of that. But this is a bulking of frequency energy that's centering around somewhere between like 1.5 to maybe 2.1, 2.2K. So it's a little bit wider than a resonance. So I'm going to widen up the Q, and my goal here when widening up the Q is to get the widest, the narrowest Q possible that covers the entirety of that tone buildup, if that makes sense. So it's like, if the nose tones are covering like 1.2 at the absolute lowest and like 2.5 at the absolute highest, I want the shape of my bell to exactly target that range and collect mostly in the center. What I don't want to do is only attenuate like 1.8, 1.9, 2K and still leave all that other honk that's around there. And the other thing I don't want to do is I don't want to start accidentally attenuating like 700 hertz or 3.9K where this tone is not living. So I'm trying to target the shape of that tone buildup as much as possible.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck alone and catch up with your boy. My name is Jones. I be doing my own, y'all haters gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck alone and catch up. My last name Jones.
Okay, so I feel like once I get down to about 4.5 dB of attenuation, I start to feel like I'm hearing some phasey qualities show up and maybe over-dulling this range. So I think I've gone too far here with the attenuation. I'm going to back this off to about maybe like 3.5.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my...
I think I want to go up to 2K for my corner.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
Yeah, so let's do a quick before and after. Before?
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
So even though we're losing energy, the after sounds quieter, it also sounds a lot more natural to how his voice should sound to me. So we're definitely on the right track. I think I've got this attenuation correct. Now what I'm noticing is once I start pulling out this tone, the voice starts sounding a lot darker. All of that clarity energy is kind of bulked up in here, and as I'm removing it, I'm realizing that all the stuff that's above this range is actually a little deficient. Like it sounds like without it, I don't notice how dark the vocal is.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
With the EQ, I become very aware.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
So I'm going to take a pretty broad shelf here. I'm thinking maybe from about 6K. And I'm going to boost some top end and make the vocal feel like it fills up in that range.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck alone and catch up.
So my corner frequency here, I'm pulling up too much of the nose tone at 6K, so I'm going to bump it up to about 7K. See how that feels?
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own, y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck alone.
So that sounds pretty good to me, actually. It's a pretty big top-end boost, but I think it needed it. The only thing I'm noticing is that there's this very specific, almost nails on a chalkboard kind of sound that's living around, like, the super treble. So I would guess probably 11K kind of area. This is going to be one of the very, very few times you're going to hear me say this, but because it's such a high frequency, I think I'm going to have an easier time pinpointing where it is using an EQ that has an analyzer. I know, that's not, you don't hear that from me a lot, but I think it's just going to make the job easier. So I'm going to pull up the Fab filter. It's usually my go-to for this kind of work.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
So listen to the word grind.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel.
You hear this kind of like really high, and you can see it on the analyzer.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that.
So if I can attenuate a little bit of that narrower band of tone, I could probably even get the vocal a little bit brighter and not make it harsh by accident. So I call this contouring. It's something that I've talked about before, but it's basically like this. Let's say your entire treble range is deficient by 8 dB, but there's a narrower piece of the treble range, around, what was that?
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about
9K, where it's not deficient. If you boost up that 8 dB, just that sliver of that 9K range is going to end up being really too loud, and so it's going to create this very harsh tone. But if we attenuate the stuff that's getting too loud while we're pulling up the broader area of tone, that's how we get a fuller sound, because it allows us to give the most energy with the least amount of harshness or goofiness. And in the lows, it would be the same thing, but the word would not be harshness, it would be like mud or something like that. So let's try and target this.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this.
Let's, grind is a really good word for that.
I be on my grind, niggas.
So let's loop up my grind.
My grind.
Yeah.
My grind.
Come on.
My grind, my grind, my.
There we go. Yeah, let's do that.
My grind, 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 my grind.
You hear that? You hear that tone now? It's really high up there. It's very annoying.
My grind, 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 my grind.
So I'm going to attenuate this narrower band that's centered around 9K. I'm going to switch over to this monitoring mode just so I can really target the center of it as best as possible.
My grind. My grind, my grind.
Yeah, that's about right. It doesn't exactly sound right when it's in headphone mode. It doesn't sound the same. But I think I pretty much got it. And now that I've done that, we can listen to the vocal again.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
If I bypass the EQ that I did,
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
Put it back in.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own.
Now, let's listen to it in context. Again, we've if anything, we've lost level right now. So, let's hear it in context.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own. Y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones.
After.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own. Y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone.
So I think that we're on the right track. I think now we just need to refine it. So I think that we've taken out a little too much of the mids still. So let's try like 3 dB. I think we've added a little too much of the treble. And I think we can compensate by adding like 1 dB overall, something like that. And I think that's going to give us a really good picture of what we're trying to hear. Also, I'm going to throw on a high-pass filter because, you know, there's a bunch of low-end buildup. Let's just get rid of that. Okay. Before?
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own. Y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone.
And so now other things are starting to become more obvious to me. It sounds like in the lower mids, there's something that feels a little anemic. So I'm going to try and find that, which I'm guessing is probably, it feels like it's like right in the middle of the low mids. So like 400, 500, 600, maybe even as high as like 700 hertz, somewhere around there. So I'm going to set this at like maybe like 350 with a fairly narrow Q. And again, this is going to be like more like general tone shaping, so I'm going to want to probably err on the wider side overall. I'm going to find that real quick.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own. Y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone.
So, I mean, right here actually is not bad at 350. You can hear that it starts making the vocal feel fuller within the beat, even just by turning it up slightly. It already made a big difference. Without it,
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money.
With it,
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
I mean, that's like only a 2.5 dB difference, and it made a world of a difference right there, and that's with a narrow Q. Now, is there a better frequency? Yeah, I'm going to experiment a little bit, but I'm just going to kind of file it into my brain like, oh, shoot, maybe I just nailed it right from the get-go.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own. Y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck.
So once I get up to around like 650 hertz, like I feel like I've definitely gone too high. We're starting to get into something that isn't like the body of the voice. But that whole range from about 350 to like 400 or so, 420, 430, you know, maybe even 450.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that.
That's a little muddy, but like anywhere in that range feels like it's kind of doing the job. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this again. I'm going to do a broad Q.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be doing my own. Y'all niggas gon' hate, but that bullshit I don't condone. Sir Jones, leave that fuck shit a fuck alone and catch up with your boy.
And even like a 1 dB boost with a fairly wide Q is making a pretty darn big difference. I can just do a copy and paste here and take that out, and you'll hear the difference immediately.
I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that. I be on my grind, niggas gon' feel that. Talk about this money, my nigga, yeah, I can hear that.
Huge difference. So I think I'm going to wrap here because I just wanted to show this process of like the early EQing stages of a vocal to get it right. But I think that it's a good place to sort of point out what the process really is. So this process here is a mix of starting in solo, assessing the vocal, kind of figuring it out a little bit, hopping into hearing it with the beat, figuring it out a little bit more, hopping back into solo, refining it a little bit more, hopping back into hearing it with the beat to hear it a little bit more. One of the things that I think is not great about online tutorials is that it's very tricky to demonstrate the actual thought process and the actual like step-by-step thing, because mixing a lot of the times is doing something, then going back and changing it later. Doing something, hearing it in a different context, making an adjustment. And so it's not a linear process. It's a process where it's like one thing happens, one thing changes, one thing happens, something happens over here, we jump back, right? And I think that that's a really important thing to kind of at least exemplify so that when you're doing this on your own, you don't feel weird doing a mix in a way that's very nonlinear in terms of thought process. That's actually very normal. Cool. Gonna wrap it up. If you dig this video, hit that like button. If you want to catch more videos like this, hit subscribe with the bell notification so you get notified. There's a whole bunch of really, really good full-length, in-depth tutorials for sale that supports the channel and also is just really fantastic information. You can check those out by going to the WeissAdvice.com/shop. The link will be in the description below. And lastly, you know what we say at WeissAdvice. We are musicians, sound is our instrument, and I will catch you next time.